So now we have two more properties, and sometimes they can be a little tricky to look at. These are the inverse properties. We'll start out with the conditions. So a has to be greater than 0, x has to be greater than 0, and a cannot be equal to 1. So similar to what we did in the past with our exponential functions. Okay, so I'm going to try to color coordinate this and see if it helps. Right now, in property 3, you have an exponential equation. This is an exponential equation. It's a to some exponent equals x. So if this is my base, and this is what it equals, and then this up here is the exponent. Now I'm going to convert it to a logarithmic equation. So I'm going to write log, and the base is a. Then I have to go over here and get the argument, which is x, and then that's got to equal the exponent, which is log base a of x. Well, look, you have the same thing on the left as you do on the right, okay? So that would be true. So what is the property telling us? It's saying if you have a base, and in the exponent, the logarithm is the same base, then it just equals the argument of that exponent, okay? So think about what we did with inverses. You apply a function, then you apply the inverse, and it gets you back to x, right? Okay. So now we have the other way, going the other way with the inverses. So this is property 4 now. This is a logarithmic equation. So I'll try doing the same thing. The base here is a. Then over here, you're going to pick up the exponent. And then all of this, whoops, didn't change colors on me. All of this is the argument. So if I want to write it in as an exponential equation, I take the base, a, I go over and get the exponent, which in this case is x, and then it's going to equal the argument. And the argument's right there, a to the x. So yeah, you get the same thing on the left as you do on the right. So what is this property telling us? It's saying, well, if you have the logarithm and the base is a, but in the argument you have a to some exponent, that whole thing is just the exponent. Okay? All right, so property 3 and property 4. You may want to make yourself a little note card for these properties because there's like 8 of them. All right. So now we're going to apply them in this example. So we have a 5 here for the base. We have a 5 for the base on that logarithm that is in the exponent. Okay? So that's what's hard to read on these. All of that is the exponent. But the whole thing is just going to equal 15. So we're evaluating the expression by using that property number 3. Yeah. Okay, the next one, so you've got the base here, it's a logarithm, and then in the argument you have the same base with an exponent, right? So that whole thing is going to evaluate to be 4. And that's property 4. Now, this property, let me make sure I didn't mix up the two properties. No. Okay, so property 4, that one gets used a lot. Okay, so put a little star by that property because that one's going to get used a lot.